And welcome back to our next edition, which is our FaceTime segment. You are rejoining me, Raj Arya, once again. And today we're going to talk about something which you have been seeing in the news. That's right, especially if you've been following entertainment news around the world. You always hear about Lindsay Lohan, Robbie Williams, Chris Brown, and this bit about entering rehab. That's right, well, the rehabilitation centers for the rich, famous and affluent. Well, looks like now it has come to Malaysia, where there could be something that you could look at if you're trying to sort out certain addictions which you're facing. And the person who's going to speak a great deal more about this is none other than Prem Kumar Shanmugam, the Clinical Director of Solace Sabah. Prem, thank you for being on the show this morning.
Thank you.
Now,
Raj.
as we all know, when we follow entertainment news, the latest gossips, the latest scandals, we hear about all this taking place about addiction. And addictions can come in the form of alcohol, gambling, drugs, sex, you name it. But in terms of sorting it out, now, can you just share with us, for the benefit of our viewers,
Sure.
what is addiction and how do you define it medically?
Okay. Now, addictions is recognized as a disease. Okay, that's the good news, because as a disease, then it's treatable. Now, it's not about lacking willpower. You know, it's not about moral issues or social problems. Of course, it causes social problems, but addiction is a disease. Now, we have managed to identify that it's a disease of the brain. Right. So the basic problem is in the reward system of the brain. So basically, this means to say, a person who's predisposed to becoming an addict or who is an addict has this ability to feel rewarded normally. Okay, normal pleasures in life do not make him happy. You know, a nice thick bar of chocolate, and you feel wow, nice, good about it, right? An addict would not feel that sensation, would not feel rewarded naturally. So they tend to use these compulsive behaviors, either substance addictions or behavioral addictions, to reward themselves. So in a way, we could say addicts actually start off by medicating themselves.
Right. It's about wielding the stick or dangling a carrot. So it's a matter of whatever makes that person happiest. Would that be right? Is that the reason why they indulge in addiction? Maybe to take them away from the harsh realities of the world, transport them to somewhere where they can indulge in this so-called pleasure?
Okay, in a way that's true. Now let's put it this way. I'm predisposed to addictions. Okay, let's say I've got an addiction problem, right? And you and I go to a club and we start having a beer each. Okay, now you may have half a glass of beer, one glass of beer, and you'll be able to get up and walk home after that. Now I will not, because the one glass is not enough for me. That one glass just tinkles my brain a little bit and says, hey, this is nice. Then I feel rewarded and I need another one, right? Then that one makes me feel, oh, this is good. So this is what I need to feel good. Right. And the brain sends a signal to the body saying that, you know, you need more of this. Right. So that's where the tolerance aspect comes in as well. Okay. Now the next time I go to the bar again, I may need 2 glasses to feel normal, but 2 more to feel better. So that's another thing about why addictions is about tolerance, building tolerance as well. Right,
right. Now you mentioned something very interesting just now. You say it's nothing to do with willpower, but you of course hear stories where people say, like, I've been a smoker for 20 years. One day I wake up and I decided that I'm going to quit smoking, and he does it, and he does it successfully. Whereas others who have tried, maybe perhaps just 1 year smoking, they find it so difficult and there's always relapse. So how is there a distinction when a person could do it, yet another couldn't?
Okay. Well, let's put it this way. We punish addicts, don't we? We catch them, you know, they do something wrong, you know, they break the law, we put them in prison. Of course, they need to be put in prison anyway. But they come out and they relapse, right?
Right.
So, think about it. Do you think they enjoy the prison life? Do you think they look forward to going back to prison? I don't think so. No. The reason they keep relapsing is because they do not know how to stay sober. They do not know how to live a life without the substance, the dependency. Right. Relapse rates are high for addictions. Yeah, it's about 50 to 70% relapse rates for people who are non-treated. So, every 10 addicts, right, who go to prison and come out, I don't know, maybe 5 or 7 of them will relapse and go back again. Okay, so you're not treating the disorder, you're punishing them. Now, a smoker who is able to quit smoking, the chances are his reason for quitting smoking is so fantastic, it motivates him and he has the ability to quit. Now, also remember, smoking does not cause as much harm or damage as drugs or alcohol. Right. Right? Or does not stimulate the brain and reward the brain as much as, say, methamphetamine, ice.
Right, right.
We know the recent problems with ice that we're having in the country. In fact, it's worldwide.
Right.
It's one of the biggest problems to manage right now, synthetic drugs.
Right, right. And speaking about that, the social implication, of course, recently, last month itself, we had a couple of deaths during a music festival among our youth, ranging between 18 to 28, 6 deaths, in fact, as a result of all these synthetic drugs. What's happening right now in terms of that, and how are people, especially the youth, are getting addicted to this?
Right, okay. Let's talk a little bit about the youth, since you brought that up. Yeah. Now, ice particularly, it has the ability to allow people to focus. Okay. Now, college students, university students, before the exams, they need to focus. They need to stay awake for 3-4 days and learn, right? So they tend to experiment on ice and they use it. Now, let's say 10 of them use ice to stay focused. I don't know the exact statistics, but I would think maybe 6 or 7 of them would be able to stop after the exams.
Yeah.
But the remaining 2 or 3 will continue. Second year, third year. If they graduate, then good. If they don't graduate, that is going to become an addiction for them. The difference here is that one is predisposed to addictions, the other brain is not predisposed to addictions. Okay, and there are more and more synthetic drugs coming into the market. It's so fast because it's all chemical based.
Right.
You just need the right recipe.
That's right. And sometimes this recipe could be a lethal concoction,
of course,
which can cause death, as we have seen quite recently.
Of course. Well, like I explained earlier, it's about the tolerance as well. You build so much of tolerance that your brain thinks you need more and more and more, but how much can the body take?
Right. So while the brain could be thinking one thing, the body could be reacting in a different way.
Yeah. So we hear so often about overdoses.
That's right.
Yeah, heroin overdoses. Well, I'm quite confident these people don't want to die.
Of course.
But it happens. They don't realize that it's too much for the body to take. And we have seen in our career people losing people. We see that. It's not uncommon at all. And it's sad. It's really sad.
Right.
Because they don't have the capacity, or they don't have the knowledge to stay away or drug-free, to be drug-free.
Right. Right. Now, we have talked quite a fair bit about addictions here, and it seems that this is your area of specialty. For the benefit of our viewers, can you just share us a bit about your personal background in terms of where you started and how you ended up doing what you're doing right now?
Sure. Well, I'm trained in counseling and in psychology. That's my background, and I do some research in addiction treatment as well. My work is purely more in addictions. Now, addictions, there are 2 types basically, generically, substance as well as behavioral. Now, under substance addictions, you have alcohol, drugs, anything that is substance or chemical related.
Right.
Under behavioral addictions, you have behavior addictions like gambling, sex addictions, which we hear a lot about now.
Yep.
Internet, pornography, gaming. So there are basically 2 huge areas of addictions. I also do some training as well. I sit on a certification board, which we just formed actually, because we do not have an addiction certification board in this region, in the Asian region, Asia Pacific region. And I'm also one of the regional directors of the board. So what I do is I go around and I try and I help train people who are keen, medical experts, counselors, psychologists, who are keen to become accredited as addiction therapists.
Right.
Addiction treatment is a very skilled and a very specific area. It's unlike marital counseling or family counseling. It's got bits of everything, but you need to understand the concept of the disease model.
Right, right. Now, one obvious solution to address this addiction are rehab centers, for example. Right. And the impression most people have is about going cold turkey, putting you in a controlled environment, away from all these substances, exposure to all this behavior, and hopefully you can shake it out from your system after going cold turkey, perhaps for X number of weeks or months. Now, that is probably what's been done in the past and could be going on currently. Is that a successful way to win this addiction off permanently?
Well, I think based on what we have seen happening all this while, it's not really very successful. Okay, if an addict is able to go cold turkey and stay sober, then when he comes out of prison, he should stay sober.
In theory,
yeah, in theory, right? Why is he relapsing, right? Like I said, he doesn't love the prison life. I'm sure the food there is not that fantastic.
No, I doubt it.
So I think what we need to teach them is skills. We need to give them tools, okay? How to cope in a situation which would trigger you or increase your cravings, which would lead you to relapse.
Right.
Now, ideally, the model that we employ is the abstinence model. Okay, basically that means to say no drugs for the rest of your life. all right? What happens is, if once you're an alcoholic and you get into recovery, you come out, ideally what we want you to do is never to go back to alcohol again.
Of course.
Yeah. So we teach you coping skills, we give you tools,
Right.
we talk to you, we tell you how to manage stressful situations, all right? For example, a simple one would be, let's say an alcoholic in recovery, yeah,
Sure.
has to go for a dinner where there's going to be lots of alcohol, and he feels that he's going to be forced to drink.
That's
He's
right.
got no choice.
That's right.
Now, I always say you still have a choice, but let's say he says, I don't have a choice, I need to go. A simple thing would be, don't go alone. Take your spouse with you.
Right.
Take someone else who's in recovery with you. He'll know how to check on you.
Right.
That
You
we-
watch out for each other. Yeah.
Watch out for each other.
Yeah.
Or what we may say is, all right, since you're going for the dinner, what time do you think the drinking would start? Then he may say 7 o'clock. All right, what time do you think they'll start forcing you to drink? 8 o'clock.
Right.
Okay, good. 7:30, come back. Get your friend to fetch you. You know.
So there's always choices. It's just a matter.
Yeah, but they need to learn. You see, people who have an addiction problem do not know how to make choices.
Right. They're hoping for the smallest excuse
Yeah.
to relapse. You know.
That is true, but we say that they have an impulse control disorder. Okay. Now, basically, it means if this is a glass of beer in front of
Sure.
me and I'm an alcoholic, I may not think that this is not good for me. I may act impulsively and just pop and drink
Right.
it.
Right.
You know, and then there's that guilt that comes in after that.
Right.
Oh my, I have relapsed. Oh dear, what am I going to do now? Then the fear comes in. So how do I manage these emotions? I drink again. So addiction is also, in a way, about numbing emotions. Addicts do not know how to feel.
Right.
They have numbed their emotions most of their lives.
Right.
And that's why we see them when they come into recovery and these new emotions, I mean, as far as they are concerned, is new, start to appear. They get overwhelmed. It's like, wow, I'm crying. Oh my goodness, I'm crying, you know. I'm happy. Should I laugh? Is it okay to laugh? Simple emotions for you and in me, which is normal. For
Second
them,
nature for us,
yes,
but yes.
yes. For them, it's difficult to manage because they have been basically numbing or anesthetizing their emotions with substances.
Right, right. Now, one thing we see in the West, that there's a very good support structure, like for
Right.
alcoholics, AA,
Right,
Alcoholic
right,
Anonymous, but
right.
we don't see so much of that in this kind of structure as a support group here in Asia or in Malaysia for that matter. Isn't that a good idea to actually have as well such a structure to provide that support mechanism for each other in the same problem which they're facing?
Right. You're right, Raj. That actually is essential, and it becomes the continuing care or follow-up to the primary treatment.
Right.
Now, AA actually is quite big, okay, and NA. Now, AA stands for Alcoholics Anonymous.
That's right.
Then there is Narcotics Anonymous. Then there is Gamblers Anonymous. So quite a number of anonymous groups around.
Yeah.
And they are in Malaysia and Singapore as well.
Okay.
It's just that it's not very well heard of because they don't publicize themselves
Right.
for anonymity,
Of
and
course, of
confidentiality,
course.
and we need to respect that, of course.
Right.
It's a very good support structure, okay, because basically it provides a place for these people in recovery to go to once a week and discuss their difficulties, share their difficulties, and pour out. You know, because remember, they do not a pent-up emotion is very dangerous for them. Because when the emotions are pent up and become unmanageable, they go back to their default mode
Right.
of suppressing it with substances.
So this will provide an outlet for them.
Exactly. It provides an outlet for them. So I would think that is a fantastic way of getting into maintaining your recovery, or rather,
Right.
yeah, after primary treatment.
Right. Now, earlier I did touch a bit on rehabilitation in Malaysia. What is a traditional practice right now in terms of trying to get out of your various addictions? For example, drugs is a big social issue
Right.
in Malaysia, and we see a lot of drug rehabilitation centers around. Has it been effective? Has it achieved its desired results to get them out of this hole which they have dug themselves into?
I think the immediate goal is achieved. That is to get them sober.
Okay.
Okay, that may be achieved. But what's important here, Raj, is we have to remember relapse rates in addictions is high. So stopping the drug is only the first step. Maintaining a drug-free life is a huge step.
That's right.
Okay, so if we don't provide them the tools, well, it's not about getting back into work or getting a happy married life. I think that's not only it, because getting back into work and earning an income, starting to earn an income, has stresses related with that as well.
Of course.
Now, unfortunately, this group of people do not know how to manage their stresses that well, and that's why they've been using substances or addictions to help them manage. That's what they thought anyway, right? So we need to first stop them, and then the big question about how to stay drug-free. Okay, how am I now going to live a life without any substances or any kind of compulsive behavior? That is the key factor.
Right, right.
Now, a treatment program which incorporates all these factors is what will help someone stay drug-free. That's what we do at the Solace, actually.
Right. And speaking about Solace, now we all know that most of these centers which we see around right now are government, under the purview of the government, you know, government-driven, government-operated.
Right.
I don't think there's any in Malaysia currently which is in the form that is Solace. Am I correct?
Yes.
It's the first of its kind?
Yes. Now, we are quite a luxurious rehab, and we are very scientific based. We're using evidence-based approaches to treat. Plus, we have a board, we call them the Clinical Advisory Board. This has been very unique to us, very special, and we insisted to have this board. The Clinical Advisory Board, we have professors, academics, scientists from around the world who are experts in this field. Now, unfortunately, there are not many experts in this region in addiction treatment. So we formed this board, and that board actually monitors us, helps us with our programs, helps us check quality control. This is very important, right? Because we work in human beings and lives. There has to be someone watching over the program. And we have been quite lucky and blessed, I should say, that the board has actually accredited our treatment program as being world-class standards.
Right, right. So when we talk about this, most people have a perception, you know, because of Hollywood, the rich and the famous. Is this something akin to, like, for example, the famous Betty Ford Rehab Center? Is it something along those lines in terms of the care, the support, the treatments, which one can expect? World-class standard?
Definitely, definitely. In fact, we have recently been accredited by a National Addictions Treatment Provider Board from the USA as well. And we also have got good support and accreditations locally from the Tourism, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Health, you know, very good support from the local ministries as well. I think one unique factor again that we have is the team that we managed to put together. Our clinicians are all experts, and they're all not only masters and, you know, a PhD and degree holders, but they also are trained in addiction treatment, which is essential. Okay, plus a huge factor that benefit we have is the fact that most of our clinicians are in recovery themselves.
Right, right. So there's someone they can relate to who has been through it and know what they are going through as well. All right.
This is very helpful because one problem that we have, or generally people have working with a person who has got an addiction problem, is gaining trust.
Of course.
Trust is a huge difficulty. Now imagine if I'm a heroin abuser or on ice, it's an illegal drug.
Yes.
So I have to buy these substances illegally. I hide them, you know. I have to steal if I don't have the money. I do a lot of illegal things. So I'll always have this fear at the back of my mind. Police watching me.
That's right.
You are a spy, you know. You're an informer. So gaining trust can be a difficulty with these people.
Okay, Prem, hold that thought for a moment because we have to take a quick commercial break right now. But please don't go away because later we'll be coming back with the second part of this insightful interview in terms of rehabilitation in our second segment of FaceTime. So please stay tuned on Capital Today.